If you really want to maximize your email revenue, then A/B testing constantly different elements inside your email marketing strategy should be at the top of your priority. Why? Because you want to squeeze as much as you can from your email. So with that being said, today I'm going to break down exactly the different elements that you should really A/B test and essentially avoid wasting your time A/B testing things that are not going to move the needle forward. Okay? So with that being said, let me dive right into it. First things first, very important points and concepts before I dive into different things you should really A/B test. Okay? So first things first is that you should always have a hypothesis. A/B testing just for the sake of A/B testing will result in a waste of time and lack of efficiency. You see, before A/B testing a component of your email marketing strategy, you should always have the goal and a hypothesis in mind. For example, if your current pop-up has a 15% off offer and you want to A/B test it, then you should build a hypothesis around that, right? So for example, you could say like, what if I increase the offer to from 15% off to 20 or 25% off? I'm pretty sure if I increase the offer, the opt-in rate will also increase. So let's test it out, right? So this is essentially how it works. The scientific method is you have an observation, then you ask yourself a question, then you have a hypothesis here, and then a hypothesis here, then you do an experiment, which is an A/B test, and then you draw a conclusion from the A/B test, and then you have a result that you actually track and keep that in mind for future A/B tests as well. This is how you actually, again, squeeze as much as you can from your email marketing by having different A/B tests constantly, okay? So, first things first, as I mentioned before, always have a hypothesis. Second, very important, is define your KPI. You're not always going to aim to increase the place order metric or revenue metric, if you will. With some tests, even if they impact the place order rate metric indirectly, the goal is to improve other binary metrics, right? So depending on the A/B test you run, it is really important to define the KPI you're trying to maximize. For example, we've got place order rates mentioned before. You've got click rate, open rate, or even opt-in rate for the pop-ups, right? That's really important because as I mentioned before, even if the goal here is to increase revenue or place order rate, at the end of the day, the goal with A/B tests is often to actually improve other metrics, such as, again, click rate, open rate, or opt-in rate as well. Now, another thing which is very important is to track your results. You see, with everything live, what gets measured gets managed. So when running an A/B test, make sure to write down the results you get from it for future reference. If your goal is to maximize your email revenue, then you will most likely be running multiple A/B tests simultaneously in different stages and in different components of your email marketing strategy: flows, campaigns, pop-ups, etc. So that's why it is crucial to keep track everything you do at all times, all the A/B tests you're running at the moment, right? So you can create a simple Google Sheet with different tabs for pop-ups, flows, and campaigns, just like this one right here that we actually use at the agency. Just create a new tab for every component. So again, pop-ups, flows, and campaigns, okay? So very important, track your results. Now, next, you must test one variable at a time. Much like a scientific experiment, which is a A/B test is essentially a scientific experiment. If you test multiple variables in one single test and see a significant difference, then you won't be able to pinpoint exactly the needle mover or what made the essentially difference in that specific experiment, right? That's why when A/B testing a component, ensure you change only one variable at a time. For example, if you're testing a pop-up and you wanna A/B test it, you shouldn't change for example, the offer and the triggers at the same time for the A/B test. You should always test like the offer first, for example, A/B test it, see which one works the best. You just A/B test two offers simultaneously, see which one works the best, and then you can A/B test the triggers, right? Essentially, don't test multiple things at the same time, pretty much, okay? Important. Wait until you achieve statistical significance to draw conclusions. With the Klaviyo, that's pretty easy. You just basically let the A/B test run, and then Klaviyo is going to decide when you when you've achieved statistical significance. Okay. Finally, don't waste your time A/B testing low leverage components. If you think about it, you can A/B test absolutely every single component inside your email marketing strategy, right? Button colors on a campaign A/B test, 4 days to 5 delays on the third email of a customer win-back flow, even changing one word on one step of the pop-up form. Some things are just not worth A/B testing because they will waste your time, and difference will be so marginal that it'll take ages to achieve statistical significance, okay? In the next slides, I'm gonna break down exactly, I'll cover what is worth A/B testing and where you should spend most of your time optimizing, okay? So buckle up because the elements that I'm gonna show you right now are the ones that are actually worth A/B testing. In our experience, we've generated over $20 million in email revenue, and we've been in the market for over 4 years, so we know our stuff, okay? First things first, pop-ups. Pretty straightforward, but again, a lot of brands actually spend a bunch of time, waste a lot of time A/B testing stuff that doesn't really matter. In this case, pop-ups are extremely important to A/B test constantly. So, as I mentioned before in previous videos, your pop-up is the backbone of your entire email marketing strategy. Low sign-up rate equals way lower email revenue because fewer people enter your email funnels. You will basically grow your email list at a much slower pace, okay? Now, there are 4 elements you can A/B test inside your pop-up. The first one being the offer. And the offer in your pop-up is by far the biggest needle mover when it comes to your pop-up percentage sign-up rate, okay? Second, we've got the triggers. So what makes the pop-up appear also plays a huge role in open rate. You want the pop-ups to show up at the right time for best results. Third, we've got design. Although not as important as the 2 previous elements right here, sometimes it is worth A/B testing some graphic components such as button colors, photos used, pop-up sizing, etc. Okay, to just maximize results. And finally, copy. And the reason why I put copy as the last component is because in most cases, the pop-up copy should be extremely simple and straightforward, right? We want to convey the offer clearly without any fluff whatsoever. Okay, moving on to offers. So this is the first component here, the most important component by far when it comes to your pop-up. The offer is definitely king. It's gonna be the biggest needle mover when it comes to your pop-up performance, okay? Here are some offers you can A/B test against each other, and you can run for your brand and again A/B test. So first things first, we've got static discount. So for example, $20 off, and this is better for high AOV products. Next, we've got percentage discount, and this is better for low AOV products. The reason why these two are better for different types of AOV for products is because if your product is expensive, then let's say your product costs $8,000. 10% off 8,000 or like 5% off $8,000 is $50 off, right? So instead of like saying $5 off, you could say $50 off, which sounds way better. On the other hand, if your product is very inexpensive, I don't know, $50, instead of like saying $10 off, you could say 20% off, which sounds way better, okay? Now, next we've got free gift or product with first purchase. And in this case, the gift you give out should be pretty high margin and ideally high perceived value as well. Next, we've got free shipping. Free always works, so that always works pretty much. And then we've got giveaway. So a giveaway, so enter your email to enter our giveaway, whatever. I'm not a big fan of this because the people you get are pretty low buying intent, so you might get a higher sign-up rate, but the place order rate from these people is very low, so keep that in mind. Next, we've got cashback, which is something that most brands don't do and haven't really explored. So I highly recommend you just take a look at the cashback. You could, for example, use GetFundU, which is one app we use, GetFundU. This works really well for cashback, okay? Next, we've got access to a exclusive community. This is good for bigger brands with already authority in the space because like getting access to a community from a bigger brand sounds quite appealing for a lot of people, okay? Now, triggers. To be honest, there's not a lot of room for testing here when it comes to triggers of your pop-up. However, there are certain things that can definitely make a difference. Very important to use different triggers for both mobile and desktop, and overall like different pop-ups for mobile and desktop. Okay, for mobile, the triggers we use are the following: 8 to 20 second time delay and a 60 to 80 scroll distance percentage trigger as well. Okay, for desktop, we use exit intent, and this is optional, and we use the same triggers as with mobile as well, right? So desktop, exit intent, very important, as you can see here. And then we also use a time delay between 8 to 20 seconds, and then in most cases, and then a 60 to 80% scroll distance percentage as well for desktop. These two are optional. So the main difference here between desktop and mobile is that we use exit intent for desktop. So yeah, in general, you can mostly play around with time delays and scroll distance percentages to maximize opt-in rate, especially for mobile, because most people will go to your website on their phones, right? So the biggest differences will come from A/B testing extremes. So for example, 4-second time delay versus a 12 to 20 seconds, right? Now design. Some design elements you can A/B test. We've got button colors, lifestyle versus product in use photos, sizing, formatting, etc. You get the point. Design is also one of those things where you can definitely A/B test, but that's in most cases not going to make a huge difference. Okay. Next, we've got copy. So as I mentioned before, pop-up copy is very often overrated. With pop-ups, the most important thing is to convey the offer immediately. Pop-ups are intrusive by nature, so we want to communicate efficiently, right? So try to keep the copy short and concise. You can A/B test CTA copy or how you phrase the offer, etc., etc., etc. So for example, here, sign up and get 10% off, or you can ask a question: what about 10% off your first order? You get the point, right? Now, make sure you test opt-in rate, and this is extremely important that to do this basically. Make sure you test the opt-in rate and the lead to conversion rate. This is where huge typo here again. Sorry about that. This is where most brands and inexperienced email marketers miss the mark, right? When you A/B test a pop-up, you must take into account the lead to conversion rate too. What does that mean? It means the percentage of people who opted in and proceeded to place an order. The reason why this is important is that some offers might lead to a higher percentage opt-in rate, right? But a lower lead to conversion rate. For example, as I mentioned before in my previous examples, the giveaway offers very often, right? So this ultimately leads to being less efficient and profitable with your pop-up, right? So besides testing your opt-in rate, it is really important to also test the place order rate, primarily in the first email of your welcome series, right? Really extremely important. Now, next we've got the second element you should definitely A/B test is the campaign components and some formatting. So, for example, you should definitely A/B test graphic-based emails versus text-based, right? This is one of our favorite A/B tests run at the campaign level. Lots of brands underutilize and underestimate the power of text-based emails. So we like to A/B test graphic-based versus text-based campaigns, especially when running a promotion, right? So you should definitely test this with your brand. The result will actually, I'm pretty sure, will shock you, right? So benefits of text-based is that, of course, they're way easier to produce. They don't require any graphic component. Also, they have most likely better deliverability. And then they're genuine, original, and authentic. For example, here, this is from the founder of Lofty. Very extremely simple and straightforward, but you'll be surprised by the results. They tend to work really, really well. So also campaign elements you should definitely test. Pretty much campaigns are a compilation of different modules, right? So when putting together an email, you can play around with the elements you decide to use and then A/B test what formats tend to work better. For example, typically with emails, you've got your social proof, you got your product highlights, comparison tables, charts, guarantees, PR elements, dynamic blocks, etc. So again, remember when doing this to test one variable at a time. As you can see here, we've got pretty much the same emails, but here we've got kind of a checklist type thing, or like USPs like highlights essentially. And then we've got social proofs here. That's the only component in the entire email that actually changes. And these are A/B tests that we actually run a while ago for these runs specifically. But this is exactly what we mean by testing these components, okay? Third thing you should definitely A/B test is sending day and time for campaigns primarily. And this one is pretty straightforward. Aim to maximize open rates when A/B testing sending day and time. Of course, don't do this with time-sensitive promos and flash sales. So you could do like Mondays versus, I don't know, weekends, morning versus late afternoon or evening. You get the point. You can definitely A/B test this to see exactly like different trends and see that, for example, and honestly, like every brand is different. For some brands, when we send in the evening, that actually works really way better than morning time, right? For some brands though, morning times tend to work better. It really depends on the brand itself. Fourth is A/B testing subject lines in high impact flows, right? As simple as it may sound, testing subject lines in the first few emails of some high impact flows could make huge difference to your email marketing performance. So what do I mean by high performance or high impact flows? I mean the welcome series, abandon checkout, and then post-purchase primarily, okay? So as I mentioned before, this is one of our favorite A/B tests to run because it is extremely simple to set up. And as I mentioned, it could yield great results. So no excuses right here. You can definitely set this up on your own for your brand. It works extremely well. Make sure you run this subject line A/B test on a consistent basis for your high impact flows, okay? So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in it, please don't forget to drop a like and a comment. If you're not subscribed already, please feel free to do so. And if you're running an e-commerce brand doing over 50K per month right now and you want a high reliable email marketing team to handle your email marketing, especially as we head into Q4, so Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and those extremely profitable seasons, then feel free to reach out to me. A link to my calendar is going to be in the description box below. So feel free to go in there and book a time that works for you. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.